Welcome back to the Single Society podcast. My name is Jo, and it's great to have you with me today. This is the podcast series where we look at being single from a more positive, more holistic perspective. There is so much to be celebrated about single life. Now, for those of you who are happily single and actively making a choice to remain so, more power to you. Love that. There are other episodes that are perhaps more relevant for you, solo date spots, all that kind of thing. This series is going to focus very much on the behind the scenes of singles nights. So, this episode that you've landed on today is episode 3 of a 7-part series looking behind the scenes at singles nights, specifically the common mistakes that I see people make. I have been running singles nights for a number of years now. They started out in Manchester, they're in Preston, they're in York, popping up in lots of other places. So if you are interested in coming along, then take a look in the description box and you will find a link to those events. This, as I say, is going to take you behind the scenes, gathering all that wisdom that I've gained over time about what mistakes people commonly make. Now, the first episode in this series was looking at why it is a mistake to be late to singles nights, as counterintuitive as that may seem. And the second episode was looking at why it can be an error to downplay your reasons for coming to a singles night. As I say, that's explored more in the first 2 episodes that are in this series. This third one is going to look at why it is a mistake to not ask for somebody's number if that is your intention when you come to the singles night. Now, in the first 7-part series I explored consent around singles night in a lot more detail. So if you've not listened again, that's something you may want to go back and have a listen to. But it's important here as well. So just to reiterate that you need to actively consent to both coming to a singles night and then taking part in each element of it. It's very much a personal choice and you'll have personal boundaries with it. If you're in a space at the moment where you're just open to meeting someone, you're considering it, and you want to come along, but perhaps it's your first time doing something like this, it's absolutely fine if you think, I don't know if I'd want to swap numbers the first time. This is more about dipping my toe in the water, building up my confidence. That's okay. We're all in different places. But if you are open to meeting somebody and would be open to going on dates, then fantastic. I would strongly encourage you to swap numbers with people on the night. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is that they will let opportunities pass them by when actually everyone's in the same position and will be really, really flattered if you do ask for their number, or as I would recommend, if you offer to give them your number. It softens the request. Just ask them if you've been having an interesting conversation. Oh, I'd love to keep chatting about whatever it is you've been talking about. Could I give you my number so you can get in touch if you're interested? Now, I should say here that after the singles nights that I run, I will always get in touch the next day to see if you are wanting to swap numbers with anybody, if somebody caught your eye and you didn't get a chance to swap details with them, and I will always follow through on that and make sure that they get that information. But it is not as effective as you asking for yourself. And I would say, I've covered a couple of other things already in this series, but if I'm being honest, this third one, this not asking for somebody's contact details, is the biggest mistake that I see people make. And I do want to acknowledge that I understand it's daunting and I don't want to minimize that. But at the end of the day, if you've paid to go to a singles night, if you've taken the time to go to a singles night, you have already invested in it. In some ways, the worst thing you can then do is sort of bottle the moment and have a nice chat with everybody, but not leave any way for them to get in touch with you. And this is one of the reasons why I do suggest just offering them your number, because it's a really soft, gentle way of making the request. Even if they're not sure in that current moment, they're most likely to say yes, because the ball is still in their court. They can then choose to message or choose to not message. Doesn't really make huge odds to them either way. So they're very unlikely to say, no, I won't take your number. Whereas giving them yours, that might feel a little bit more intense. So it's a really good way of doing it. and it's better than not doing anything. It really, really is. I think one of the challenges with me following up the next day is you will meet quite a lot of people at the singles nights. So if they've already gone home and slept, there's the possibility, and I obviously hope very much it doesn't happen, but there's the possibility that if I send them a message and say, you know, Tom has asked me to pass his number on, or Charlotte has asked me to pass her number on, they're gonna think, who? When did I speak to them? Particularly if they did swap details with other people on the night. Whoever they swap details with on the night is almost going to have priority, as awful as that might sound, because they've already formed that connection. And I think as well, it really does show confidence and courage to offer somebody your number. They will be really flattered that you've done it. And it's a great way to show that you've really listened to them while you've been talking at the event. Because often the best way to offer someone your number is off the back of a conversation that you've been having. So that could be a shared interest and something that you potentially be able to go and do together. But it can also be something that's sort of totally outside of your area of expertise, your knowledge, and you might say, oh, can I give you my number? I'd love to learn more about this and chat with you further. There's lots of different ways of doing it, and I do have a whole other episode as well, specifically on how to ask for somebody's number. But this, honestly, is the biggest mistake I see people make. I will do everything I can to help after the event, and it does help as well. Please don't get me wrong, like it's not totally ineffective to follow up the next day. If you do miss the opportunity to ask on the night, please don't think, oh, I've blown it, and not bother. I will send everybody an email the next day asking you, is there anybody you want me to pass your number and a message onto? But it works better if it comes from you. It really does. It's just more personable, it makes a better impression, and it increases the chances of going on a date. So I'll pop some more information in the description box for you about what's coming up and more details of how to ask for somebody's number as well. As always, if you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out to me. I'm very happy to help if I can. And if you're not yet subscribed or following this podcast, this is the moment to do it now. I'll see you in the next episode.